We are Columbia Pacific, a little slice of paradise. Paradise. Chinook were here long before us, and some live here still.
Living here still. Living here still.
Our fisher.
Like I'm in the center of the pie and I'm describing the perimeter of half of it with my paddle. And sometimes all you need is just one of those to get back on the course you want to be on, and then you can just go back to paddling straight.
Specific, this is the region they call Columbia Pacific.
Columbia. Columbia.
Cannon Beach.
Cannon Beach.
Seaside. Astoria. Brownsmead.
Over 20 varieties of vegetation have been found to be growing on these old pilings, including 2 species of orchids.
This was the site of the village that Lewis and Clark stopped at on November 7th, 1805. Had some lunch, traded for some delicious dogs, which we assume they ate on the spot because they didn't say anything more about them.
They hated to be in places like this because they never knew when they were going to hit a dead end or run aground. So a guy in a sailor suit led them out.
Osprey.
When they paddled past Skamakowa, they thought they saw the ocean and cried out, oh, the joy! We who live here agree.
Old salmon canning factory. Used in a lot of movies when they're looking for early 1900s structures. Basalt cliffs. The falls from underneath the falls. Just in a little nook in the cliff line.
Juliet, come away, away to Skamakowa. We'll watch the fog roll down the creek and rise up on the bay. Cathlamet's fine for buying stuff, but say that you won't stay. Oh, come away, away to Skamakowa.
So there's your otter poop, and it's made up of digested crawdads, because that's what otters are primarily eating. And so you'll see little gastroliths like this, calcium and minerals to build a new shell with. Is they just have this little stone in their belly, and when it's time to build new shell, they use it up.
Bald eagle up in the tree. This was the old sawmill. The pilings are all that's left. And then the old boiler remnant is over there.
If you smell, oh, they put on such big city airs, you'd think they lived in Kelso. Oh, but we don't believe in all the stereotypes. Our love is big enough to cross the cultural divide. And someday we will find some middle ground where we can stay between Cathlamet and Skamakowa.
Cockpit in that one, it's sort of D-shaped. He's got a flat back and then a big curved front. And that is a polar northern Greenland boat there. And it's also pretty big. And you can see his harpoon set up and his hunting float. And he could probably stuff a dead seal or two inside that boat as well. Kayaks you see in Greenland, the skin-on-frame kayaks, are not made with animal hide. They're coated with fabric like Andrew's boat is.
Did you make it?
Andrew made this one. Yeah.
Wow.
Kill sea mammals and bring them home and eat them. And this was a hunting craft. And they started in the Arctic. And basically you had very little wood, but lots of animal hide. And so you would build a wooden frame out of the little scraps of wood that you could come up with, and then skin it with seal or walrus hide. And then you change the skin out every year. And it's a pretty good replica of a Greenlandic unic, which is their word for this harpoon. And it's got a little throwing board on it, like an Ott model. And in an ideal world, you would sneak up on the seal without him knowing you were there.
I'm always the seal when we practice.
And that was a pretty good throw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want the thing to land point first on the seal so the weight of it falling drives the point in. When it landed on the seal, and then the shaft fell over and pulled the point right back out of the seal, and the seal got away.
Oh.
So this thing lands on the seal and then toggles. And so it doesn't pull the point out. Pretty dang clever. Really.
Mark is in a traditional Inuit kayak.
They invented, you know, the kayak roll.
So this standard roll.
And I back up, and that took about 2 seconds or so. And I'm rescued. Rescuee can go ahead and flip his boat over sometimes if he's of that mind. And then this is the fast way to rescue. Here, give me your paddle. I'm just going to grab his boat. He's going to get up there, hop back in. We'll worry about pumping the water out later. Hoist himself up in there. So I'm going to do this.
I can float my legs.
So hug the boat. He hugs the boat.
All right.
Oh, hey, that one.
And he expended literally no effort at all. Every group thinks this is funny. Come over the cockpit. It's a cake, right?
Over. Yeah. Drop your rear end in first.
You don't want to know how long it took me to master that.
See any problems with this one?
Okay, you gotta be strong.
It requires some balance.
Right.
How not to kayak, demonstrated by Mark.
Very good.
What are you doing, Mark?
Scooping around.
Okay, I like it. Yay!
Okay, now step up onto your back deck.
Now right behind the back. Behind the back.
Okay. I'll do
2 boats, 2 guides, 2 paddles. They think it's a pontoon boat, I think.
There we go. Now we're ready. All right.
He's cut by the years, cradled by the hillsides, fed by her streams.
Paddling through Lewis and Clark National Wildlife Refuge. This area is a refuge for the endangered Colombian white-tailed deer.
There were 6 big feeder lodges right here.
Oh.
And so on the November 7th Lewis and Clark journals, they talk about villagers coming out and trading with them on the river right here. And then the next chart after David Thompson's wasn't made till 1850s, which is post-epidemic. So this was totally abandoned by then.
On Wednesday, we drove to the Pacific, Cape Disappointment, the ultimate goal of the Lewis and Clark expedition.
She is home to all who love.
These monstrous Sitka spruce trees were here when Lewis and Clark were here. And they're estimated to be over 350 years old.
Let her beauty take you in. She is home to all who love her. Be loved.
Then we hiked over to Waikiki Beach, and this is the overlook above the beach. This is the channel for the mouth of the Columbia at the Pacific. This north jetty is 2 miles long. The south jetty is 4 miles long. This Waikiki Beach is not quite as attractive as its namesake in Hawaii, nor is the water as warm. This is the start of the 2-mile north jetty, where we happened to find a sea lion basking in the sun. This is sunrise playing his ukulele. He also has guitars and banjo.
She's caught by the years, cradled by the hillsides, fed by her streams. She is home to all who love her, sun-kissed fields, cool.
I love coffee and tea. I love the Java Java, it loves me.
Shady woods, snow-bent boughs. She is home to all who love